Hello, welcome to the channel. Today we are witnessing a situation involving an extraordinary story about a wife who previously sought an open relationship, but now regrets this situation. I never imagined that we would reach this point, where I went to the extreme of seeking advice from strangers on the internet. Here I am with my wife, with whom I have shared a journey of 10 years, of which we have been married for 8. Our story began during college, and we were the first and only in each other's lives. I honestly believe that our relationship was unique and magnificent because of this connection. However, it seems that this belief was only present with me for some time. My wife started working at a new company, where she initially faced challenges fitting in, given that she has always been a private person. However, with my influence, she befriended a group of girls, some of whom were single, divorced, or in non-marital relationships. I was happy that these friendships were forming, but I soon noticed that she started going to drinking parties and other events planned by her new friends. This change in her behavior worried me, and I tried to broach the subject, although I didn't want to limit her in any way. Over time, this began to affect our intimate life, as she showed excessive fatigue or disinterest due to constant going out. At one point, a new manager joined her company, who became her focus, along with her group of friends. She proceeded to mention him casually, but soon that mention turned into something deeper, to the point where she discussed how he handled issues that didn't seem work-related. Questioning her about this earlier, she simply brushed off my concerns and, in fact, went so far as to suggest that I should have more experience with other women. I replied that I had no regrets in that regard, as she was always everything I needed. In a brief moment, I saw a flicker of sadness in her eyes, but she quickly diverted the subject. It was in this context that she started to bring up the idea of an open relationship as a way to spice up our marriage. I was surprised, as my wife had never shown this kind of inclination, nor was she particularly sexually liberal. I initially rejected the idea and questioned whether this proposal had anything to do with the new manager, but she denied it and stated that she felt like she was missing out on something. However, she didn't want to lose me, which made that option safe. I wondered if she was playing with fire. Reluctantly and naively, ended up agreeing. We established some rules, mainly not to bring other partners into our house. So for a year my wife engaged in one-night stands and dates. However, as if I couldn't predict it, she ended up developing some kind of relationship with the manager. For my part, I had a few encounters, but none evolved, as it often felt wrong. She asked if I was okay, but in reality, it didn't change her behavior. At one point I felt that the love I had for her, with her special purity and innocence of marriage, was slipping away. It troubled me deeply. I ended up getting involved with an amazing woman from South Korea. Our communication flowed easily, and her insight was impressive. Her qualities were so endearing that they made me forget about myself. This led to more dates, until we reached the level of intimacy. Honestly, I had never experienced such a sexual connection as I had with this woman. I never knew anyone could be so generous and able to make someone feel so desirable. At first, my wife thought this was adorable, but as the months went by, she started to question my relationship with my lover. I quickly reminded her that the original idea had been hers, and even though she was in a relationship with the manager, I was concerned. She remained silent, as if she had something to say but held back her words. She started getting home earlier, preparing surprise dinners and taking care of the house more. She also began to visit my workplace, bringing lunches and seeking the intimacy that was previously absent. In hindsight, if it weren't for our openness to the open relationship, which I'm also guilty of having accepted, this whole situation would have been a source of great joy to me. But I reluctantly gave in to her attempts at intimacy, that when I did, it was mechanical. Some part of me about my wife had died, and I could tell that she felt it too. I asked him what caused this change and what was the differential. Her answer was that she wanted to show me her love and happiness that we were together. To my surprise, I burst out laughing. I then asked him about his group of friends, the loving manager, and his one-night experiences. She didn't respond that day and went to bed in tears. The next day, I found her waiting for me at home. She has expressed her desire to end the open relationship, admitting that this experience was a mistake that she deeply regrets. She wants to refocus on our relationship. I encouraged her to be honest with me and explain what motivated her to propose this in the first place. And, to my surprise, the response revealed that the idea was planted by her group of friends due to her numerous sexual adventures. The manager, in turn, was supportive of this approach and encouraged my wife to explore this freedom. What started out as an emotional affair apparently turned into a physical one as our marriage opened up. In retrospect, it is remarkable how this situation unfolded. It was an emotionally charged experience, but the cost of choice became too much for her to bear. She realizes now that she never needed to make comparisons and that what we had was genuinely unique and special. However, she now feels that she has damaged our marriage and undermined any possibility of a future together. I told her I wouldn't be able to see her again as my wife, which made her break down in front of me. I held her silently as she cried herself to sleep in my arms on the couch. She has since quit her job and cut ties with all of her friends, including her manager. She even expressed her willingness to spend the rest of her life redeeming herself for me, working tirelessly to be seen as my wife. However, I didn't cut contact with my lover. My mistress frankly makes me feel like a man who can take on the world, something my wife hasn't been able to for some time. The truth is, I'm at a loss on how to handle this situation. I would love to get that special feeling back if possible. My lover basically rescued me when I was in a really tough spot. Please help me. Also, I forgot to mention that we have our first marriage counseling session in a few hours. I'm not sure how this will play out, although the therapist seems competent and experienced. She seems unbiased and is genuinely eager to help despite it being our first session. My wife took the opportunity to vent. She admitted that the group of friends made her question whether she had missed her chance, as she was involved with her first boyfriend and had no other experiences. She felt that she never had the same adventures as some of these supposedly amazing women, some of whom are divorced, though none are married. The therapist pointed out that this situation is often detrimental to a marriage due to the difference in mindset. My wife seemed to agree, adding that after the new manager started to approach her, some of these friends encouraged her to explore this possibility and see where it would lead. She felt it was a chance to get to know herself better, although she felt guilty about it. She revealed that she never did anything physical until one of the divorcees suggested an open marriage, claiming that some couples come out of it stronger. Thus, she was convinced to open the marriage, and her so-called adventure began. However, she soon realized that the initial euphoria of this adventure did not have the same substance as the relationship we had built over the years. She began to question her own reasons for this choice. She confessed that she could see the pain in my eyes, but she explained the situation as an adventure. However, she knows she will never forgive herself for missing out on an opportunity to have an incredible experience. The gravity of it all really hit her when she noticed a change in me. At first, she believed that I was just gradually accepting the situation and dealing with it well. Everything changed when my lover became a constant presence in my life. My wife knew something was wrong when she noticed me smiling for no reason, my eyes lighting up when I received text messages, and I excitedly storming out of the room to take calls. She began to feel an emptiness in her stomach and had panic attacks for no apparent reason. She turned to her friends for advice, but they said it was a normal reaction to my adventure. However, it was the same divorcee who initially suggested the idea of an open marriage that finally opened her eyes. He remarked that my lover made me happy. It was at that moment that she realized the reality of the situation, and the possibility that another woman, not her, was bringing me joy. She then realized how ridiculous it all had been and begged for help to win me back. However, friends of hers told her that if she couldn't handle it, then why had she opened up about the marriage in the first place? They also pointed out that these people were toxic and a threat to our marriage and the life we've built. So now she's determined to win me back in any way possible. On the other hand, I shared little but informed the therapist about my situation with my lover. The therapist suggested that no resolution was possible with my lover still in the picture and recommended scheduling another session after 2 days. They mentioned that it's unusual for someone to stay with her first partner for so long and suggested that maybe we can weather this storm. I suspect they want us to be one of their success stories. I apologize for the length, but I figured providing a full update might be helpful. I still haven't figured out how to link posts. Thank you so much to everyone who got in touch. I'm sorry I can't reply to everyone individually, either by message or post. Anyway, here's the update so far. Once again, thanks for all the support. It seems like a situation straight out of the Jerry Springer show. I have since moved into an apartment owned by my brother at an absurdly low price. Although he owns several properties and offered me to stay for free, I declined the offer. I found out a few things about my wife's behaviors and her relationship with her manager. Story 2. The former friend who had the pregnancy scare. She was really pregnant, but the stress of losing her boyfriend and being humiliated by the case caused her to lose the baby she had. Basically turned ballistic. When full of scorched earth in the manager, she exposed him to all the upper management and her fiancé. I happened to meet his fiancé in Facebook, got curious, and this woman is basically the poster son of a cute small-town girl. Based on her profile, she is special, neat teacher who is homebody, and it's very family-oriented. My first thought was, what the hell is he doing kidding with other women when he has her at home? Honestly, why do men like him end up with women like her is one of life's greatest mysteries. The former friend actually contacted me. She wanted my side of the version of events because she was collecting evidence against him, but she wanted to do it in person. She already took the COVID test and also me, and I agree. From the moment I saw her face, I knew she was broken. The dark circles under her eyes and her irises of red color clearly showed she couldn't sleep and was haunted by her own thoughts. That she thanked me for agreeing to meet her and immediately apologized for your role on my wife's adventure. Turns out she and my wife spoke again, and that's when she knew I had moved outside. She didn't shift the blame and wanted take responsibility. Therefore, why would she want to meet in person? I thanked her for her efforts, but asked her why would she go so far. She said to lose a child and the love of her life. Her life changed who she was. The core. She said she can barely look in mirror without feeling disgusted, and I can hardly sleep because all she sees is her ex's face. The day he discovered this woman clearly hated herself, and the meeting may have been a way of punishment for her. She tells me since fracture between co-workers as a breach of conduct, and even more so because he was in a position of influence. He will likely be fired and possibly blacklisted from this field as a whole, but the same may be true for her too. And she accepted. She left later, getting my side of the story, and apologized again. I needed to get some things from old place, so I chose a time when I thought my wife wouldn't be home. Unfortunately, she was there, but what surprised me is that she had most of our wedding photos on the coffee table like this, others, and she was looking at them when she noticed me. I could see she was crying. She tried hold me, but I gently pushed her aside. She tried to offer me lunch, but I said her I wasn't hungry. I wouldn't be far away. Just needed a few things before I could continue. She said she had something to show me. She picked up the phone and showed me one message she received 2 days ago from her former manager, who scolded her. Was from a new number since she blocked the old one apparently. My wife helped her ex-friend expose him to all relevant parties. And he was furious. She said she got it. Idea of idiot lady and marriage builder. She thought exposing the secret that she was moving her power as well as giving. We are fighting chance. I told her I was. I'm glad she had the courage to do that. But nothing changes between. We also informed her that I will be stopping marriage counseling, but will do individual counseling. Instead it made her cry softly. And she said she understood. I know I am. Should feel anyone. Euphoria from actions taken or anger. Why did it take so long? But I feel numb towards her. That's not normal. That's why I want. Address it in individual counseling, not marriage counseling. Also saw a divorce lawyer on my brother's recommendation. Just to be safe from now on, I'm not really willing to fight for this marriage. And it looks like my wife can feel it before I left. She tried to initiate intimacy, but when I refused, she screamed and asked what my lover does for me. That she can't. What she love her, give her wife, she can't. And her voice so loud I'm sure the neighbors heard. Said whatever it was I wanted her wife would do that. I shook my head and told her if she still couldn't tell after all that it is occurred. So it's clear where our marriage is. Drove and left. To hang your wife really started to see the consequences of your actions. The sad truth is she would anything to go back and not make the same bad choices, but things don't work like that. Maybe she can try. Discover yourself and become a better partner. But it probably won't be with you, because she already burnt this life. Below. The only thing you can be sure of is that she will always remember you and regret it. What did she do? That's more than most of us have. Of our rebels. Good luck to you.